Peace, fam. This is your boy Gerald. It is Monday, the 6th. I think it is. It's the 6th of January. We're in our new year, and boy, I can tell you, mine started off proverbially with a bang. New Year's Eve, I had to slow down, and I had to assess my mortality. And if someone had told me, if I even assumed that I would be where I was, I would have been in disbelief. And I put that in the last uh, video before that one. You'll see it. Um, I entitled it "The Moments That You Think Your Life's About to End." I spoke about it then because that was New Year's Day, and exactly what was going on in my mind, in my spirit at that moment. Because I realized still in 2020, people are leery about being transparent on how they feel because they feel that they have to have a facade, they have to have a vibrato because of an insecurity within themselves. The constant underlying validation. And everything intertwines, everything has a reason why it takes place. And all that is being asked is to acknowledge, learn, meaning make adjustments, and trust. And proverbially, these last 2 weeks, family, I can tell you, my eyes have been made wider or more aware, but it was never out of fear because we are spiritual beings first. Without your spirit, this means nothing. It means nothing. This is a tool that is needed to navigate on this earthly realm. But I would be remiss not to say this because there's a lot of people out there that want to be theatrical, I would like to say, and push the narrative of fear and scarcity. But you never hear people say this. Though we have free will, you have no control over your destiny. And I know that may contradict what I've said about your legacy, your life story. Because with free will, it is the tool that paints your reality. It is the brushstrokes of life that shows you the things that make your reality. But we forget, maybe because we don't know, maybe because we choose to overlook deliberately. But that was already given, assigned, claimed, the moment you took your first breath. We can't exclude that. You always hear people use as above, so below. You hear them say it, but only if you go underneath. Because the more you peel back that proverbial onion, it brings you back here. It validates what you stand on, and it puts accountability right back where it belongs. Free will. So last night, and you'll see it momentarily because it's being uploaded right now. I felt my heart was very full, and I felt guided to speak on what was going on within me because I know that this is something that I think we're at 7.2 billion people now. I think people go through every day in a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you, internationally, worldwide. This is part of the human dynamic that will be seen directly or indirectly because it's life. The only thing that separates us is basically how we wish to define and align ourselves in that perception. And I'm referring to economic status. But one thing that cannot be denied is truth. And that's why you hear people echo through the ethers knowledge is power. That is why when you seek to educate yourself through the standards of education, you have to pay for it. And having grades, great GPAs that makes you eligible, or by financially investment. But there are many people walking around this planet with emotional and spiritual PhDs, because we also know that is the school of hard knocks. We generally around the subject of life try to find the adequate term to describe the circumstance. Family, what I'm alluding to is no matter what you do, no matter where you go, all things that are destined for your life will come to pass. The only thing that you have control of is how you will react to it and what it will be defined as. That is what you have control of. I was somewhat disappointed to a degree that I didn't fulfill my promise to you that I was going to put a 2020 video out. Because every year for the last almost 7 now, I've always said I always will put a video out culminating the year. Well, I got my culmination. And it was validated by looking at an EKG. laying up on a CAT scan, feeling the ultrasound, stare into my body and verify my heart. Was I afraid? Not really. And I say that with all modesty and humility because at the end of the day, God's in control. So the one thing that I did do, not to sound redundant, and because I've spoke on this twice thus far, is even in the midst of what was going on, I still had the awareness of self to give thanks of where I was, to give thanks to where I had been, to give thanks for the people I had the pleasure of sharing a conversation with, seeing a smile, and the journeys that I was able, or shall I say, afforded in my travels. I've been very blessed, family. Very. And then 2 weeks ago, there was another epiphany, and there were these inklings coming out of nowhere. And I mentioned it last night, and I'll mention it to you right now, but I'll be respectful because until I actually can have the conversations and take the adequate steps, I'll I'll be very mindful. But 2 weeks ago, I pretty much found out that I have a son, and my spirit tells me so because he looks just like me. It's like looking back at my life and everything matches up time wise, which, because I've always believed the Most High, I acknowledge him as God. He does everything in his time. We as human beings, spiritual beings first, always have conflict when it isn't in ours. The struggle is accepting what is being shown, when it's being shown, and the impact of what is being shown. And the one thing that I realized, because I have to be objective, it has changed the trajectory of my life even more. But I'm not afraid because you can't be upset if you don't know. And honestly, I did not. But I take accountability because that's what a man does. That's what a woman does. See, that title means you graduated to a level of understanding and you see the responsibility of that title. That is what separates boy to man. The transitionary process is the experience. Now imagine trying to understand that without no navigation. That navigation tool may be your parents. It may be that person of influence in your life. Because you cannot get to the next level without influence. Otherwise, you won't grow. That's why you see a lot of people that are in social media, a lot of people that are in positions of economics, of success, what is deemed success. They say, you see your dreams, find your mentor. Because what is being described is truly the student teacher dynamic. Each one teach one, right? Heard me tell you that all the time, huh? So 2020 for me, it's going to be a lot of changes. Everything's going to change. This is going to change. Then it's coming. Let's change it quicker than you think. But it also, family, will show you the power of manifestation too. Well, so how is that possible, Drew? How is it that you can manifest and you talking about changing and growing? How is that possible? It starts when you solidify your foundation of who you are. You remember I used to always echo, do you know who you are? Just always say it. And I wasn't trying to say it to be stoic. I was trying to convey that from a point of awareness because until you're able to understand or answer that question, can you truly understand what makes your reality? But better yet, where you headed? Now, granted, yes, we live life through impulse. Yes, we adjust by mistakes at times because these are the things that make up free will, fam. But the one thing that we cannot ignore, family, is this. You cannot change what is destined. You signed it the moment that you took your first breath. You can never give that back. Only thing you can do is live through it. And the more that you see how important free will is, you'll also be able to measure how precious your time is. And not to sound morbid, how it also ties into your mortality. And when you're able to do that, you will actually start to tap into an inner peace about yourself. The things that make you feel insecure won't have that much of an impact anymore because just like someone that has been traumatized, you know how a person gets through trauma? They must first acknowledge existence. And the more they're willing to acknowledge it exists, it gives them courage to eventually discuss it. And the more that you discuss it, the more the impact of it wears down. because you're building an inner strength about yourself. You're claiming an empowerment about who you are. And the person that was deemed a victim is a survivor now. And that is why you notice in today's narrative, there's a lot of pointing fingers. There's a lot of victimization going on. There's not a lot of accountability. But what does your spirit tell you? You know, I mean, I get it. There's some of you that refuse to go near anything that has to do with your spirituality. And that's because you're not at that place where you're willing to invest in it. We have a lot of people that are deemed skeptic because their mentality is show me the proof. Can I physically possess it? Can I physically see it? Is it tangible? But it doesn't make sense when it pertains to your emotional self. Now, does it? You can't you can't see love, but you feel it. You can't see pain, but you feel it. You can't see empowerment, but you claim it. That's why you've always heard people say words have power. Because they do. Everything. I've mentioned this in the past. Because we are spiritual beings, we give off a electronic frequency. And the two strongest frequencies that is receptive to the human body is love and fear. And can be measured. You can literally hear it. That's why EKGs work. That's why MRIs work. Well, they measure them. Some people call it your essence. But when you go a little deeper, what do you find? Now, I know that might go over the head of some people, and that's okay. It might not make sense to you right now, but don't discard it because the intended time and moment, it will make sense. You'll be at a position where you're able to reflect without fear, and you'll say, you know what? I didn't understand what I was going through right then and there. But where I am right now, today, I'm able to look back and assess and take accountability if needed, or find a place of acceptance if you have to. That's free will. And the more and more that family you choose to love yourself, the stronger you become. And I'm going to tell you this too, and I say this with all compassion. 2020 is about removing that spiritual veil. What do you mean, the spiritual veil? 2020 this is the year you're going to know exactly where you stand. You're going to know it. You're not going to be able to dispel it. You're going to have to stand on it. And you're going to have to make a choice. You're going to proverbially be at the crossroad in your life because you can't run from it anymore. And you might think, oh, I'm not prepared for that. This is above me. Who said? What do you think all that motivation was the whole time? tugging on your heartstrings proverbially, guiding your steps to go that way, not that way, to allow you to be aware of things before you act on them, to be objective, not critical. For some, this is going to be a stark revelation. And I'm going to say this too: be prepared to say goodbye. Be prepared. And you already know. You already know because for where you're headed, you can't stay anchored in one place to go forward. Some that's why what the proverbial sign, what's the saying? People come into your life for a reason and season. Maybe your assignment was you were supposed to be the example to them, and they should have learned it. And if they learned it, they're prepared. And if they're not, they're going to have to figure it out because you're going to be guided to focus on something else, maybe yourself. Don't be afraid of that. When one door closes, another one opens. But isn't that the theme of life? Progression? No one was born on this planet to be stagnant, even in disappointment. You're not supposed to dwell. Nobody, what I'm trying to say is, you weren't brought on this planet to suffer. And whoever told you otherwise, they did that out of their benefit because maybe when they saw you from the first hello, they knew what you brought to the table. And they were trying to find everything and anything they could to slow you down because it benefited them. That's why when you hear, we always hear the proverbial saying of misery loves company. I put a spin on it and I say misery is like an endless table with endless chairs just waiting for you to claim one. Because once you sit down, you can't go forward. That's for somebody. Maybe you're realizing that you've graduated from wherever you are in your life, and now it's time to take the next blind faith step. You might be in an economic situation where you're saying, okay, I've outgrown this. Um, where am I going? You're starting to assess your life. Just make sure all money is not good money, but growth without progression is death. So you got to be real with yourself because, like they say, you can fool some of the people some of the time. You can't fool yourself. You can't fool that person that's in the mirror. That's the keeper of your destiny. The person that you see in the mirror every morning. That's who you owe it to. That's why that person has the most beautiful thing ever, and you will never see anyone else have. And that's your smile. That's your God-given talents and gifts. There'll be people that may have commonalities, and you'll meet them because we are attracted to like-minded people. The whole facade about opposite attract, no, that's a facade. because you're never going to find, say hypothetically, a person of wealth attracted to someone that is in squalor. That's not going to happen. They can inspire that person, but they can't make that person do the work. That's why, proverbially, that dividing line, when you see somebody that is at their apex when it comes to their health, you'll say your fitness uh, people that are out on YouTube or wherever. You see them in the gym, wherever you're at, you see somebody that is, their health is top notch. You can see it in everything about them, their skin, their their hair, their vitality. It just exudes the seeds they sowed. They didn't wake up just one morning and say, voila, now I'm in perfect shape. But behind the scenes, while everybody was sitting down, while people were out, they were they were somewhere investing in their temple, their body, putting that time in, watching what they ate, making sure they were hydrated, made sure they had ample rest to replenish. And just like the caterpillar that had to struggle through the cocoon, it was time for the butterfly to soar. That's your life. If you want it, if you want it. But then there are going to be some people that they're going to see the signs, they're going to see them. They're going to see all these nuances play out. Like, wow, look at this, look at that. What is going on? And it's going to be so mind blowing. And just as you see that person come into your life or that opportunity, just as quick as it's going to be gone, it's going to be gone. You can't turn around and this is like having a cruise line at the dock, and you didn't turn around. They didn't turn around and say, everybody on board. You didn't already know when it's time they're gonna undock, and then it undocks. You can't turn around and say, hey, hold up, we made a mistake. I need to bring it right back. No, because everything's in motion now. Everything. But nonetheless, family, I didn't want to be winded on this, but I did want to share this with you. I've been echoing this for years, and there's no excuse. 2020 is going to be your truth year. It is going to be all about accountability and transparency. What you see is what you get. Real recognizes real. So if you have not done the work, make a decision if you're going to do it or not. But if you're not going to do it, be prepared for what happens. You're worth it because you're blessed. If you're feeling me, give me a thumbs up. If you know somebody that this can help, like all my videos, share them, give them out. Each one teach one. That's what we do, right? It's all about growth and also about reaching for your dreams. Peace.